Let's have a look at how you set up your classes and your locations on your QuickBooks today, so you can get the reports that you want about your property business. Hi, I'm Kimberly Shapcott, qualified chartered accountant, property investor and entrepreneur. Let's sit down and have a chat. Welcome. Today we're going to look at QuickBooks and get a really good idea of how to set up the classes and the locations on how it all fits together. Now, the reason we might want to use the classes and the locations is because by doing this we can actually get some really great reports out of the system to see how everything fits together, especially if we've got a multitude of properties. Now, why would we want to do this? Well, we can then see what is actually happening on each property. Now, we can set it up as a property by property thing. We could use a location for a type of property, and then the classes may be a room if you're doing a HMO to see which rooms you're getting let or which rooms are not getting let. You could see which rooms are incurring the most repairs and expenses compared to other rooms in a property. Or you could just use them both for the type of property and this type of method. It's really up to you, and that's a great thing about QuickBooks, that you have the choice to choose how you want to see your data. The key thing is getting it set up correctly. So let's dive into QuickBooks and then we can show you how to get it set up, how you actually enter it when you want to enter the information in when you're processing your transactions, and then we'll have a look at the reports that you get out at the other end of the cycle to see what you can then see and how you choose these things. Because then you can hopefully make more sense of the data, more sense of the numbers, and manage your business from a knowledge base of knowing what's happening rather than guessing what may or may not be happening. So as you can see, we're in our demo company today. Now, the first thing we need to do is set up the settings so that we can actually do this. And to do that, we have to go to the cog in the top right hand corner, and we can then select account and settings. Now, in selecting account and settings, this brings up our options, and I believe these are in our advanced settings. So click on the advanced settings down the side, and this will bring up all the different things. And the one we want to go down to is the categories. Now, we can click the little button, and then it allows us to select the categories side of things. Now, these categories, we've got track classes, which we're going to turn on today. And the one nice thing here is if you use the classes side of things, you can tick this box and go, warn me when a transaction isn't assigned to a class, which definitely makes sure that every time you try and enter something, it'll go, wait a minute, hello, we need to set up a class. So I'm going to tick that today. And for each assigned class, we can select a couple of options, which is one to an entire transaction or one to each row in a transaction. Now, I'm going to select one to each row because on this, we may be having a managing agent work on our property and they might be managing more than one. So if I use the classes option, I can then, on his invoice, when I make the payment to him, I can split out each property and where it relates to. Now, then for the track locations, I can just leave the track locations on and then I can click save. Now, that now has it all set up so that my settings are done. And now when I go to my banking transactions on here, that's it. My banking transactions, if I click on any transaction, it will now show me my class and my location and I can enter something. So we're just going to go to our location and we're going to add in 123 Derby Road. And as you can see, now it's given me the option to add that. So I can literally just add the transactions as I go along and it says new location, yep, so I can save it. And that's now got that location. So when I go to another transaction, it will give me that option to add that transaction on. Now I might want to go, this is 123 Derby Road and this is for room 1. And again, I can add this class in and go add, and it allows me to add that class. So that is great. That has set me up. So now I've got my 123 Derby Road and room 1. And I can click to save that transaction. and that's then save that. Now, I've obviously, as you can see, not allocated to it an expense or anywhere else like that for that transaction. But the main thing I wanted to show you is on every bank transaction, you'll then be able to add in the class and add in the location. Now, if you're putting on any purchase invoices or anything like that, you can go in and go to your bill to add in your purchase invoices, the expenses that you see. And as you will notice on here, we've got two things to show you, which is the location, which is going to show me all my locations that I've previously entered that I can select, and I can select the location I want. And then further down, I've got this class button, and again, I can click the drop down and that will have my room 1 or whatever room or location I have decided to put in. And that is on a line by line basis. So this is where certain things work really well with the location, because it will set it for the whole of the transaction. Or if I'm looking at the classes side of things, maybe I want to do it as the property itself there. And again, you can do that on a line by line basis. So there's a couple of ways to work with it. It's just figuring out what you're actually going to want in the end. So on that basis, let me show you the other side of things. So the next thing to show you is how you actually get to those lists. So I can click into my accounting tab and into my chart of accounts, and then I can go here to my all lists. Now I've got all my lists now, and as you'll be able to see, I've now got my list of classes and I've got my list of locations. So I can click into classes and that will show me all of the classes that I've got. Now, as you can see here, I've got my run report. So I could run a report on room 1, and having just clicked that, that will now give us our report, which shows us room 1. Now, this is not showing me anything just yet because it's not got all. So if we just run it again with all dates, it's now showing me everything with all dates, and you can see we've got that transaction. Now, if we go back to our report list, we'll be able to see our locations list. And here again, we can see our locations list of all the different locations that we've got, which we can go into and make appropriate adjustments if we want to make any adjustments. Now, let's go into our reports, because this is where it becomes really important that we have these things allocated. And when we go into our reports, we've got all the standard reports that QuickBooks has to offer. And on most of these, we can actually then allocate by any different variables that we want. That's one of the great features of QuickBooks. But I'm just going to jump into a profit and loss for now. So I can show you where you go to actually do your profit and loss, which I tend to like sometimes the monthly one, because then I can see what's happened each month on a different property. But as you will be able to see now, we've got display columns by, and it says total only at the moment, which means it's just showing us everything all together. But I can now go into that, and as you'll see further down the list, we've now got classes and we've got locations. So I can click locations and run that report. We're going to just do a longer period to make sure that it comes through. And now we've got it, so it's now split out into that column. We can see we've only got the one transaction in that column, but that's the one that we allocated to that property, that location. Now, if we also wanted to just see that one, in the Customize section of it, we can actually just change it to show in the filter section. There we go. And in the location, we can click we want a specific location. We can select the location we want, and we can run the report just to show that property. So if you're having problems with a property, you want to see what are the numbers actually showing, you could literally go down just to that property and see, well, what has been happening? What income have I been getting? What expenses have I been incurring? And you can actually see that. Or you could see it with all of the properties that you've got. See that property, we seem to be spending 10 times as much on the repairs. Now, you might be aware of that, so that's not a problem. But if you're finding, wait a minute, I didn't realise it had added up to that much, this is where it becomes quite powerful and quite useful. So definitely a feature worth using. Now, hopefully that gives you a taster of how to get it set up, how to look at it. This is a topic you may want to speak to your accountant about. to really kind of understand, I want to see this information, what is going to be the best way to be using these features, to make sure that you're setting it up in the right way, and then it will really start to be powerful in getting the data and making useful information for you to actually manage your business. Hopefully today you've discovered how to set up your classes and locations and how to manage them to make sure you're making the most out of the reports available on QuickBooks. If you do have any questions, please leave them below. Please subscribe to the channel and do like this video and share with anyone else using QuickBooks that you think would be able to make use of these features. Let's make tax less taxing. Let's make tax less taxing.